Booked, the bookstore education podcast brought to you by the American Booksellers Association. This episode is part of our Bookseller Lightning Talk series, in which booksellers present short talks on tech tools, organizational strategies, communication methods, or innovations they've made in their stores.
So I want to talk to you, as Kim said, about something that actually combines elements of Morgan's and Asia's talk in a sense that I think it's a way that bookstores can connect with issues in their community, but also in the sense that it is an independently published book that is going to work on sort of a consignment model similar to what Asia described. Sorry, not consignment, the opposite of that, the buying it at a discount, etc. So what I'm talking about is called the ABA Right to Read Handbook, a reader's guide to fighting book bans. So some of you hopefully know about the ABA Right to Read Toolkit, which was a resource that we released almost a year ago, aimed specifically at booksellers who want to do something to fight the current ongoing crisis in book banning. And there's a ton of things that bookstores can do. Check out that link that Kim just put in the chat if you want to hear more about it. This is a little bit different. This is a print book that is going to be carried in any independent store or indie-friendly platform that wants to carry it, that you can sell just like any other book. And what it is going to do is give readers who maybe have some advocacy experience, maybe are just learning about the book ban crisis now, a way to do something about it and figure out what's going on in their area. So the vision here is that this is something that you could carry in your stores starting with Banned Books Week, which is September 22nd to 28th this year, and actually mobilize people in your community to learn about their local school boards, to figure out if there are bans in their area, to learn to talk to their community. And I want to share a not totally final, so please do not distribute this, cover of what the thing is going to look like. It doesn't want to let me do that, but that's on my end. So sorry, let me fix that really quickly. You know what? It's not going to let me share it. So instead, I'm just going to put the link to the page in the chat, or actually I'll let Kim do that if you can, and then you can see it there. But I want to zoom out a little bit and say why I think this resource is so needed, specifically in the context of appearing in independent bookstores. I realized that when I was in a bookstore, an independent bookstore in suburban New York, and I was in the current events section, and I was seeing a few like really glossy, really persuasive books about all of the things that local parents or who have concerns about the things that are going on in their libraries and schools can do to essentially take over their school boards and start banning books. And the problem was not that the store was carrying these books. Any store has the right to curate their collection however they want. The problem was that I hadn't seen anything on the side of actual truth of what is actually going on in inclusive and diverse books to counter the narrative in those books I was seeing that is based on lies, and it was mobilizing people to school boards and causing them in some cases to threaten and verbally abuse teachers and librarians. So if you haven't heard about the book ban crisis, bless you, I envy you. I wish I could trade places, but let me tell you a little bit about it. Since 2021, fringe pressure groups have been able to take over school boards, have been able to force their fringe opinions into the mainstream and actually pass laws, pass school board policies that have seen diverse and inclusive books removed from shelves in droves. Inclusive books have been deliberately targeted. LGBTQ books have been all but outlawed in some contexts in some states. Also, recent studies have shown that, in fact, a study that was released just in the past couple weeks, that books by authors of color are targeted and banned at a rate that is almost 5 times greater than those of white authors, according to the proportion of representation in publishing. And 24% of the banned books surveyed in the study were written by women of color. These are groups that are already criminally underrepresented in publishing in the book world among people who feel welcome and invited into literary spaces. And this problem only makes that so much worse. And this isn't a big majority opinion. This is something that is being inflicted on the rest of us by a tiny, comparatively tiny group of people. In fact, in one study, just 11 people were found to be responsible for around 70% of book challenges across the country. It's awful, and it's anti-democratic. So this book is meant to give people a way to start pushing back against it. It has an accessible history of the book ban crisis, both from 2021 to now and across the 20th century, because it's really important, I think, to understand how we got here in order to understand some of the systems that enable this to happen. It has interviews with amazing literary freedom advocates, your fellow booksellers, other organizers, grassroots organizers and grassroots programs. And it, perhaps most importantly, I think, it has how-tos for everything from informing your community to parsing arcane school board regulations to testifying to your state legislature. So the ask that I'm making here, and that Kim was so generous to let me jump in here and make, is that you consider this book when you're making your plans for Banned Books Week. List price is $18. We're producing it through Ingram Spark, and it's being distributed through Ingram. So you might hear about it from your Ingram rep too. I hope so. It's something that you can just include in your normal buying and selling considerations. I think that it is such an essential way to connect what y'all are already doing on Banned Books Week, which is raising awareness about literary freedom, to actually helping people take that next step and get involved, because it's looking tough. We're winning a lot of fights, but it's far from over, and we need to mobilize. So that's what this book is meant to be, is a way to do just that. And if you're hearing this and thinking, I'm in New York, I'm in wherever, I'm in LA, this doesn't really seem like a me problem. It is. Even I live in Brooklyn, in Lower Manhattan, not too far from Greenlight, actually. Lower Manhattan, a school board was taken over by Moms for Liberty members, and there's had to be a huge organizing effort to make sure they can't do the same kind of book banning that they've done elsewhere. Same outside of LA. And of course, it's been so much worse in Florida and Texas. And there are ways that you as booksellers and as community members can actually do something to help people in Texas and Florida. There are ways to get organized and start funneling organizing and resources to the places where it's needed most. So again, Kim, were you able to drop that link in the chat, or I can drop it in there?
Yeah. Jen put the pre-order link in there.
Thank you so much, Jen.
Read. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I got. Thanks for hearing it out, and I hope that it's something that is of some interest to you. And I'm happy to answer any questions about the book or the book ban crisis or any other free expression related stuff.
When is it dropping? September 16th?
September 16th, yeah.
And it is listed on iPage right now for pre-order, so.
Yes. And with those pre-orders, they should ship in time to get there in time for Banned Books Week.
Philomena, thank you so much for jumping in at the last minute here to
thanks
be able
for
to talk
having
to
me.
us about this. It's I'm really excited to be able to have something that we can give to muggles, if you will, out in the world, who aren't as immersed in this as booksellers are. Thank you for listening to Book to the Bookstore Education Podcast, brought to you by the American Booksellers Association. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app. Additional educational resources can always be found on the ABA website at www.bookweb.org. Happy reading!